Olá, amigos. No começo de 2012, eu fui lá para Califórnia, lá nos Estados Unidos, para visitar algumas vinícolas, e uma delas foi a Kuleto. Kuleto faz faz Zinfandel muito legal, faz um Cabernet muito bom também. Tive lá, conversei com o enólogo, passei um pouco pela vinícola. Dá uma olhada aí como é que foi a minha visita lá no Kuleto. Vamos ver. Bom, agora é a parte, talvez a melhor parte da nossa visita, que é a degustação. E o David, que é o enólogo aqui da casa, trouxe aqui alguns vinhos para a gente provar. David, thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome.
It's a very nice place here, and we wanted to stay here in this. I don't know. This is the tasting room. What do you call here?
This is the tasting room for the Kuleto Estate, and the winery is just beyond the windows there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And before we taste your wines, please tell us. You are in charge of the winemaking here.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And so from the winery, it's just me and one other gentleman. We make all the wine here, about 14,000 cases. And we also direct the farming for the 90 acres, or what did I say, 40 hectare of grapes, grapevines.
Good, good. And here you make white and red wines.
Yes, we make small amounts of Moscato and then Chardonnay, and the bulk of our production is still in the big red wines, Zinfandel, Syrah, Cabernet, and Cabernet family, the Bordeaux varietals.
Yeah. And before we drink that, you were I cannot forget that you were saying that you have some wines that you only sell here. They're very special.
They are very special. This property is so diverse that there are many wines that come from very small portions of the property that we feel are just too delicious to put into a larger blend.
Yeah.
So I can usually convince someone to say, let's keep these 100 cases or 200 cases just for the winery.
Yeah.
And so for visitors that come to the winery for the first time or come visit many times, they always get to taste many different kinds of wines.
Yeah.
Some that are sold only from the winery.
Então, se você gostar do Kuleto e provar alguns vinhos aí, eu recomendo que você venha aqui, porque eu já provei, antes da gente começar a matéria, eu provei um Moscato que eu gostei bastante, muito legal, e eu sei que tem vários outros aqui, a gente foi andando e conversando, cada hora ele me contava de um, e deve ter muito mais, porque ele vai... Se eu ficar mais umas 2 horas aqui, ele me conta de mais uns 10 vinhos. I was saying that while we were discussing and talking outside, you were telling me, oh, I have this one, and I have this one, and I have this one, and I said that if I stay here for more 2 hours, maybe you tell me more 10 or 15 wines different.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if we went downstairs in the cellar, you would taste 50 or 60 different wines.
Wow, much more than I thought.
Yeah.
Well, we have some wines to taste here. What do we have?
I think we'd like to start with the Zinfandel, which, as you know, is it's not necessarily unique to California, but we consider it our native grape.
Yes.
The oldest vines that exist in California tend to be this variety, and they're planted all over the state by some of the earliest immigrants that came and produced wine in Northern California. So we have our Zinfandel, we do our Syrah that is grown from the highest portions of the property at about 500 meters on very, very rocky soil.
Yeah.
Very windy, so it keeps the vines very small and makes very intense wines. And then, of course, our Cabernets. The first 3 wines you might be familiar with in Brazil.
Yes.
So they are for export. And this last wine is a special Cabernet that I'll tell you about a little bit later.
Good. So. You always keep the special for the final. Okay.
All right, so we try some Zin and Syrah first. So.
Yes. While you pour the wine, I will say something.
Please. Yeah.
That É impressionante aqui como na Napa, aqui na região, na Califórnia, como eu já disse, é claro que aqui é a terra talvez seja nos Estados Unidos a terra do Zinfandel e a terra do Cabernet. Mas é claro que eles têm outras variedades e é interessante a gente ver como cada lugar tem uma variedade diferente. Até muitas vezes eu falei sobre a variedade Merlot que as pessoas tentam colocar no Brasil, mas talvez a gente tenha que pensar aí se não é um espumante, se não é talvez até um vinho branco, não sei. Mas aqui em Napa, aqui na região, aqui na Califórnia especialmente, Zinfandel e Cabernet são os reis, talvez. I was saying about the kings here.
Sure.
Maybe it'll be Zinfandel and Cabernet, right?
So. Yeah, probably Cabernet first and then Zinfandel.
Yeah. And the queen? Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, the first one is
our 2008 Estate Zinfandel.
2008,
I believe. Let me just verify that. Yes.
Let's see. And how long it stays in barrels?
The Zinfandel, because I think the most important attribute of Zinfandel is its fruit. It's that crazy, spicy, opulent fruit that it spends only about 11 months in barrel. And when I say barrel, in this case I mean the larger puncheon, the 500-liter barrel. So we want minimal oak influence, we want juicy fruit, just nothing but fruit.
Realmente, como ele disse, é muito aromático esse Zinfandel. É impressionante. Eu não sei quanto ele tem de álcool. Deixa eu ver aqui. What about the alcohol? 14,9, mas a gente não sente. É impressionante como ele é, no nariz ele é muito, muito intenso, ele chama muito para beber. Vamos ver aqui como é que tá esse vinho aqui.
So I think Zinfandel is a wine that, because of its grapey fruit forwardness and the higher acidity, it can support a higher alcohol. And it's lower tannin, so it has the sweetness. It's terrific for grilled foods, barbecue, because it's so lively in the mouth. And
yes, it is.
It's not I don't think it's a sophisticated wine necessarily, but it's a delicious summer wine. And like I said, when you're grilling and cooking, particularly meat outside, Zinfandel is fantastic for that.
Yeah. I agree. O vinho, it's 2008.
It's correct.
2008, mas ele parece jovem ainda. It looks like that
it was made yesterday.
It
tastes like it was made yesterday.
Yeah, it's very intense, é muito intenso o vinho. E ele fica na boca, eu já falei, acho que estamos há uns 20 segundos aqui falando e ainda sinto ele na boca. Realmente muito interessante esse, que é um vinho de entrada, né? É um vinho de entrada aqui da vinícola, mas tem acidez, tem fruta na boca e tem um final que eu achei muito bom. Tem um final assim, tem um toque adocicado, mas ele não é ruim, não é aquela coisa enjoativa. I like when the wine goes, it leaves something that is quite sweet in the mouth.
It's sweet but not sugar.
Yes.
It's sweet fruit.
Yes.
So it gives the impression of actual sweetness, but it's not. It's just all fruit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
it's a very
nice.
interesting grape. It's actually a very difficult grape to grow.
Is it?
They always talk about Pinot Noir being the heartbreak grape. No, I think Zinfandel is much more challenging.
Who says about Pinot Noir never worked with Zinfandel.
Exactly.
They should. Well, the second one is?
The second one is our 2007 Syrah. And so as I mentioned, the Syrah is grown on the highest portions of the property. Syrah is it's a grape with very high vigor. So it'll grow like crazy if you put it on soils that are deep and fertile. So you want to always grow Syrah where it's very rocky and where the wind blows, it keeps the vine small, it keeps the cluster small, and it makes the berries, makes the skins very thick. So you end up with these wines that are very more masculine, more animal-like. And there's always a dark smokiness to Syrah that is natural. It's not barrel, it's not fermentation. The grape, are you familiar with mesquite? It's it's a wood they use for smoking and barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And so that it smells like artificial smoke.
Oh,
the fruit smells like that in the vineyard. It's crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Esse Syrah, eu achei um Syrah muito interessante. Ele tem a fruta, como o David falou, ele tem esse toque mais defumado, esse toque mais terciário, talvez, do que a gente costuma dizer, né, de um pouco mais evoluído. E na boca, eu achei que ele ia ser mais intenso. Eu até gostei disso, porque ele não é tão pesadão na boca. I was saying that when I smelled the wine, I thought that in mouth would be very strong, but I don't like that. I don't like when it's very, very strong.
No, it's not good with food. Yeah, yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
It's not so light, of course. We know that, but it's not that that you have to chew.
Cut it with a knife.
No. It's very, very balanced.
No, I think one of the things I prize about this property is that because we grow each one of these varieties in many locations, so at different altitudes, different exposures to the sun, in every vintage we have the opportunity to create a single wine from many locations. So that balance comes from low altitude, high altitude, big tannin, higher acidity. So every year, no matter what the vintage gives us, we can make very, very complete and entire whole wines, balanced wines. And I think it's unusual for a piece of property to do that. If you have a flat ground, you don't achieve that. You get one shot. Yeah. But here we have, we have all kinds of opportunities for blending. Yeah.
And here's a question: have you ever tried to grill meat or to make a barbecue with these two wines?
Oh yeah.
Which one was better?
It really depends. I think
depends on the.
Yeah, I think lamb actually works very, very well with both. But sometimes I've had lamb that's been marinated with, say, raspberry and mint. Yeah. Almost northern African flavors, and then you grill it. So there's a sweetness and an herbal quality that works really well with that. Syrah with higher fat content, because there's something about Syrah that smells like almost sheep. Yeah. Like the wool or the lanolin. Yeah. So it works really good. And grilled vegetables, Syrah is just beautiful. So I like to have them both, right?
It's the best way, right? Of course. Of course. Very nice. And then we have other two wines.
Two other Cabernets, yeah. So we can pour.
Yes. Not so good to... Não é uma parte muito legal ter que jogar fora esses vinhos, mas infelizmente a gente não pode beber tudo, porque senão, você já viu, a gente não consegue chegar na nossa última entrevista de hoje. I was saying that if I drink all of the wine, I will never finish the day. I would die before.
And you remember the road that you drove up?
Yes.
So this is our 2000. Excuse me, go ahead.
Agora nós vamos provar então o Cabernet. Cabernet também, como eu disse, é uma grande variedade aqui. O pessoal adora o Cabernet e realmente eles fazem muito bem o Cabernet. Why Cabernet grows well here in
I think it's the right combination of warm daytime temperature, cool nighttime temperature, soils that drain well. It's the right latitude. Partly also tradition. I think, often that's what dictates what has been grown somewhere, because maybe immigrants that came from the old world, that's some of the first grapes they planted. Yeah. I don't think Cabernet was necessarily, though there are some very old Cabernet blocks in California. I think there's also, everyone always looks to France for the example, France and Italy, where are the noble grapes grown? And if we're going to pursue noble winemaking, we need to plant not our native grapes, but something that the rest of the world is decided is the best.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It happens the same in Brazil.
It does grow very well here, so
that's good.
So this is our 2007 estate. So the estate Cabernet represents the entire estate. So it has fruit, both Cabernet Sauvignon, Franc, Malbec, a little Petit Verdot, grown all over the mountain. And the Danieli is a very, very small bottling. So it's not only chosen wines, but also chosen barrels. It's barrel selected multiple times.
Ok. Bom, como ele estava dizendo, só para a gente resumir, esse primeiro aqui é o estate, então ele representa toda a propriedade, então ele tem uvas de toda a propriedade, e o último vinho ele tem aí uma seleção muito maior de grãos e que vai resultar numa produção muito menor também. Uma coisa que eu acho interessante contar, a gente no Brasil a gente está muito acostumado com os vinhos chilenos e argentinos, que principalmente o Cabernet chileno, ele tem uma doçura muito maior, e até aquela piracina que a gente sempre fala, ou aquela aquele adocicado mesmo, né? Às vezes até aquele aroma de goiaba. Esse aqui é diferente. Aqui, e eu acho que isso aqui é meio que uma regra aqui nessa região. Ele não tem tanta doçura no nariz quanto tem esses da América do Sul. Ele é muito, acho que é muito mais sutil. Apesar de parecer muito poderoso, muito forte, ele é mais sutil também. Pelo menos nos aromas, eu acho que eles se combinam um pouco melhor. Não tem um aroma que se sobressai muito em cima dos outros. Of course, you understood everything I said.
You said that perfectly.
Yeah,
I couldn't have said it better
perfect.
myself.
That's good. That's why I don't have to translate. No, just kidding. But
One more time and I will understand.
I was saying about the how it smells, because we in Brazil we are used to the Chilean Cabernets. That is more sweet, and sometimes you have one smell that comes up and goes over all the others. Here, I guess it's more balanced.
There's more I noticed the same thing about Chilean Cabernet, and sometimes it's because of a little bit of inclusion of Carmenere, and so you have that very red fruit smell, very perfumed candy-like. California Cabernets, and particularly Napa Valley, have the fruit, they have the chocolate, they have the licorice, anise, they have the herbal, tobacco, they have, and depending on, of course, on what sugar and how ripe you pick, the more ripe that you pick, the less distinctive it is as Cabernet. It loses the varietal character. Yeah. So that's something we struggle with here in a place where we have plenty of sunshine, is we want to pick it ripe so it feels good in your mouth, but we don't want to lose the typical Cabernet character. And so that's because also the founder of the winery and the current owner respect chefs and restaurants and food. We're all big food, we all cook. We want wines that are complex enough to go with all kinds of food.
That's good. That's good.
They're not so oaky. They don't have too much wood.
Yeah, because sometimes we have a very good wine, but you cannot pair with any food because it's impossible.
No. I mean, if I'm going to drink wood, I'll have whiskey or cognac or something.
Of course. Yeah. And one question: how long do you think this wine could age? Because it's very young.
No, I think it's very young as well. In fact, we just released our 2007. We're actually one or two vintages behind much of the Napa Valley.
Yeah.
Partly because in the mountains you make very compact wines, and I don't. When the wines are aging in barrel, I'm not moving the wine out of barrel and back many times to soften the tin. I want time to do it. I want to keep the aromatics that are in the wine naturally to make them more evocative of the place. If you soften the wines with fining, with egg white or gelatin or something, or you move them and give them much air to soften them, you lose the aroma. You lose the indicators of where the wine came from, I think.
Why do they do this?
To make them delicious today. Because I think it's 80% of wines sold in this country, maybe more, 90% are drunk the day that they're purchased.
But I guess it's in the whole world.
I think so. I think that's the trend.
Yeah,
definitely.
I guess.
Most people say, I'll take this, I'll take it home and I'll drink it tonight.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the capacity or
they
don't have the desire to age the wine.
Yeah.
And so again, that's another challenge. You make a wine, you want to make a wine that a collector and a connoisseur will be able to age. And I think the acidity and the tannin and the flavors, this wine will live 10, 15, 20 years. But I also know that someone might drink it tonight. So what are you going to do? It has to be. You have to please a little bit of everybody. Yeah. Or you make multiple wines where this one is your everyday wine and this is the one that you lay down for many years or something. So there is that alternative.
O que eu estava falando é que eu fiquei impressionado que esse Cabernet é 2007, mas ele tá jovem, tá? Sim, ele tá jovem, mas não é aquele tanino duro, não é aquele tanino difícil da gente engolir. E aí, quando a gente fala de tanino, é quando pega em cima na gengiva, assim, ele fica muito seco e às vezes fica chato, né? Fica parecendo verde, parecendo que você está bebendo um vinho como se ele não tivesse amadurecido ainda. Esse não, ele tá, assim, não sei se ele tá no ponto máximo dele, porque eu acho que ele poderia envelhecer um pouco mais, mas ele já está prontíssimo para beber, mas com certeza eu guardaria esse vinho aqui por mais uns 2 ou 3 anos e ele ficaria excelente. I would keep this for 3 years.
Yeah. I think you're drinking it then at its first youthful peak. There are many times in a wine's life that you can enjoy them.
Yeah.
Sometimes right out of the fermenter, out of the barrel.
Yeah.
After you bottle, sometimes you can drink it that day, and then you have to wait maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year before they start coming back.
Yeah.
So there's another window of opportunity. Then after that, you might want to wait, like you said, 3 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
But the flavors change. Depending on what you're going to be eating, you know, all those things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I think this, I wouldn't start drinking this until 2000. What year are we? 2015. Something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Maybe a good tip is to buy a case of this.
I always tell people that.
Yeah.
I do. I say, and then drink one bottle every year for
Of
12
course.
years.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Because you know, it's like time to time the stock market. If you think you're going to pick it on the one day that it tastes delicious, you're going to miss it. You'll taste it and you go,
Yeah.
I should have had it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you drink one bottle every year, you know, that solves the
You
problem,
never miss
right?
that. That's right. That's right. Well, the last one.
The last one is called Daniele, and it's named after the founder's son, Daniel. Your name.
Yeah.
This is the 2006.
2006.
So it was a very challenging vintage for most of California. But I mention again that the beauty of this estate is the multiple. You know, we have 115 different little vineyards on this mountain. So out of the 45 hectare, we have 115 separate.
Wow.
So we can make any vintage, no matter how challenging Mother Nature, you know, whatever it throws at us, we can always make a delicious wine. And so this is, I believe we bottled maybe 300 cases of this. It's very small.
Very
production.
small.
Yeah.
Esse aqui é, assim, sem dúvida, muito complexo. Ele tem aroma balsâmico, ele tem floral, ele tem fruta. Impressionante aqui. E ele, bom, acabamos de abrir o vinho, tem poucos minutos que está aberto, mas eu imagino que se ele aerar um pouco mais, ele vai talvez até mudar mais. Mas é impressionante, realmente, a complexidade desse vinho aqui é bem grande. You understood, right?
I did. And it's also a little bit cold on top of all that.
Yeah?
So I got the balsamic part and the floral part and
Yeah,
the fruit
yeah.
and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Now you see, if I come to Brazil, I'll be speaking Brazilian and nothing flat.
This wine is even more young, I guess, than the first,
I
than
agree.
the previous.
I agree.
Tá ainda mais jovem. É impressionante, mas é impressionante também a complexidade dele na boca. Ele é muito gostoso. Ele é macio e é fácil. E uma coisa que eu gostei muito aqui de todos esses vinhos é o balanço dele, do corpo dele. Aqui na Califórnia não é difícil de encontrar vinhos muito pesados. E vinhos muito pesados são difíceis de beber. Esse é o problema. Você toma uma taça, toma duas taças, depois você já está cansado deles. Esses vinhos, eles não têm essa característica. Foi o que mais me chamou a atenção aqui, até como uma diferença. E não é pela graduação alcoólica. Às vezes tem gente que pensa que é por conta da graduação alcoólica. Não é, porque esses aqui tem 15 graus. What about the alcohol of this wine?
These are all 14 and a half or something like that, mid-14s. They're, you know, they're not low, but I think they have a richness to them that, you know.
Very nice,
Yeah,
very nice,
yeah.
very nice. If people want to drink this Daniele, they have to come here.
They have to come here, so you have to all come here.
Yes.
I want all of you coming here.
If they want to try Moscato, have to come here. No way to go to Brazil.
Well, unless I bring it to
You can bring it.
I can hand deliver.
Yeah. Ok. Bom, vamos continuar aqui então com a nossa degustação. Thank you very much for this tasting. It was very nice to know a little bit more about Kuleto, and hope we meet again.
I know you
soon.
will. I know we will. Thank you.
Thank you. Tá aí ainda? Então vou dar uma dica para você. Se você vier aqui na Kuleto, pede para provar o moscato. Moscato aqui deles é seco, não é aquele moscato adocicado, nada. É claro que a uva moscato ela já é mais doce, mas aqui é muito bem feito, muito legal. Eles não clarificam nada, então fica bem dourado. Tem até umas precipitações e tal, mas é muito gostoso. Só tem aqui na vinícola, então fica essa dica aí para você que ficou até o final assistindo esse vídeo.